Welcome to yet another video. Really glad to have you here, and I'm excited about this video that I'm making today. My name is Comfort. For those who I've not met before, if you're here for the first time, glad to have you here. And if you've been here before, glad to have you back. As always, I would appreciate a subscribe. And if you've not subscribed already, please do subscribe. It really helps grow the channel. And it's just a sign of if it's blessing you, it just also gives you some more notifications when you hit the notification bell, I think, or the thumbs up, one of the two. It just gives you quick insight that I'm around and I've posted something new. But it really does help, and I appreciate that you're here. And so yeah, let's get into the video that we're doing today. And it's quite a quick one, I would say, because this one was really triggered from the feedback that I got when I shared the last video that we did, and that was about where I said maybe as creatives or as entrepreneurs that we're doing, especially multi-passionate creatives, maybe we are more similar to soldiers than we realize. And when I said that, someone immediately responded. In fact, it was on my Instagram. Someone sent me a DM when I shared, and they said, but when you attach a title to every new thing you start dropping, actually, sorry, I'm just going to read it again. She said, when you attach a title to every new thing you start dropping, when you attach a title to every new thing you start, dropping it sometimes feels like you are leaving some part of yourself. And when I read that, I kind of just stopped. And I knew exactly what she meant. I knew exactly what she meant. Because I don't think the hardest part for us when we are in those seasons that we talked about, the hardest part is not starting. It's not starting at all. If anything, we're quick. Some of us are many pioneers and we just love, and as like I said, as multi-passionate creatives, we tend to, starting things is not good. We don't lack ideas. We've got plenty of them. But the hardest part is definitely the season of walking away from it, because when you get into it, when the idea comes to you, you invest so much of yourself because you always believe that this could be the thing, or just naturally as creatives, you just get so absorbed into what you've just started to do, or the project or the idea. You get very invested in it. And then when it starts to end, we struggle. And I think this feeling, it's feeling like you're walking away and losing a piece of yourself, or you're just frustrated that you've given so much to it, or you're just like, there's just something about it that you feel lost. It's like there's a piece of yourself that learned, a piece of yourself that struggled through making this thing come to life, a piece of yourself that really hoped to see this come to life, and it did come to life sometimes. A piece of you that grew in that season, in that assignment that you were doing, and eventually some of you were actually even known for that thing. And that's where it gets really hard, because it almost becomes like you got entwined into the thing. So because of that journey and relationship and situation that you went through with this thing, letting go can feel very, very unsettling and uncomfortable. And it's not because the assignment wasn't valuable. It's because your heart was in that assignment and it mattered to you so much. It literally mattered so much that it became a part of you. And I think that's something we don't talk about enough as generally in life. Because when people talk about moving on, they make it sound so simple. It's like, yeah, I'm done with that bit. Just let it go. Just move forward. Just start the next thing. Wow. But when you go back to your quiet space and in your mind, even as they're talking about this, when you go back to that place, in real life, letting go rarely feels that clean or that easy. Because, like I said, when you've invested so many years, so much time into something, you invested attention, energy, effort, prayers, creativity, hope. Oh, you've given something of yourself to it. And when you've done that, honestly, leaving can feel less like closing a chapter and more like leaving something of yourself behind. And for a long time, I think that I approached that feeling as something to avoid, personally in my own journey. It's just a thing where I'm like, and I think that's where I moved more into trying to extend the season, trying to extend and keep something, at least because it's a part of me, as in I've been known for this thing. So I kept trying to push it and avoiding the fact that, you know what, it's really time up. So recently, or in my formation time now, I started wondering whether, you know, the question around this kind of situation or season it's not so much of how do I avoid leaving, but the better question to ask yourself is, I sense that it's time to leave, so how do I leave well? See that shift? And how do you live with gratitude instead of guilt? How do you live with blessing instead of resentment? How do you live with needing to diminish what that season meant to you? And all those are really critical points. They're really key questions to think about and reflect. You can go back and replay that section, just write those questions down again. Because I think that many of us try to make leaving easier by convincing ourselves that that season was not important. Or while it might be important, you just dismiss it just like that. Like, right, it's time to end and that's it. But I think it's important for us to sit and reflect on how much it mattered, because it did actually matter. And leaving it will hurt sometimes. And that's okay. That's if you've really done your best as you should in that season with that assignment, leaving it, while it will hurt, but it will be a good hurt. Bittersweet, as they call it. And that's okay. That's absolutely fine. And I think about, like, when I go to the Bible, I think about David's story. Because David, wow, bless him, David carried the vision for the temple in his heart for so long. He prayed over it. He actually prepared for it. He was so invested. He gathered the resources for it. He made all those sacrifices for it. He dreamed about it, honestly. Like, he was so invested in this, in creating that, in building that temple for the Lord. And yet, he never built it. God was so clear to him that he wasn't going to build it. It would be his son Solomon who would do it. And I can only just imagine how difficult that season had been. It must have been for him to care so deeply, like to be so literally embodied in this dream and this vision and this plan, only to not be the one to complete it and bring it to life. Now, many of times for us, we actually get to do this thing. We get into the season, we do it, we actually see it, like we live it, we go through it. Imagine David. He was still in like plan phase, like getting himself prepared for it, and he didn't even start to build it. So that, when you think about that, I just want you to put into perspective the fact that the key insight in this, the key thing about David's story is that David's contribution wasn't diminished because he wasn't there for the final chapter, for the build. It still mattered, and it mattered a whole lot more than you can imagine. The vision was continued, the work was continued, the impact was continued. And to be honest, when you think about David and Solomon, when you think about their characters, David was definitely the one who was more about yes, he was a builder. He could have built it, but I can see how sometimes I wonder if Solomon could have had that much vision and energy to be able to put the all these resources and everything that David invested into to be able to get the temple to the way it is. I actually see how perfectly relayed they did it. When I just look more about into Solomon's character, I think it was done the right way. And I wonder if that's something that many of us need to hear, because sometimes we assume that if we don't carry something forever until the end, then somehow our contribution counts less. But maybe stewardship was never about ownership. And I'll say that again. Maybe stewardship was never about ownership. Maybe stewardship is about that faithful contribution. And perhaps, I think the greatest example for us is actually Jesus in this. Because for 3 years, he deeply invested in the small group of ordinary people, his disciples. He taught them, he corrected them, he encouraged them, he loved on them, he prepared them, and then he left. Now, of course, it's a bit of a different situation because Jesus knew he was going to leave. So he did that. He put his investment in it. David, of course, on the other hand, only found out towards the end that he was not going to be building it. But it doesn't change the fact that not all the work that we do has to be finished by us. Jesus left not because the work was not finished, but because the work was ready to continue. And his living was not separate from his stewardship. It was a key part of his stewardship. Now, imagine if Jesus had refused to release it. Imagine if he was like, no, I'm still going to be here and I'm still going to be the one to save people's lives. Imagine if he had stayed because leaving felt too costly. And indeed it was. He actually did put that to God. But imagine if he had insisted on remaining at the center of everything. Instead, what he did is he entrusted what he had built, knowing that he had done his part with what God had instructed him to do. He trusted what had been planted. He trusted that what had been nurtured would continue to grow. And maybe that's part of our invitation for us too. Not simply, learning how to start things well, which is what we all love to do. And also not simply learning how to stay in those things, but also learning how to release. And I think a beautiful thing about that is just trusting that the people we've invested in will continue to grow. Your legacy will continue to grow through those people, the people you blessed. The work that we've contributed to will continue serving those who are meant to be served through your work. The seeds that you've planted will continue to bear fruit. It is something that has touched the lives of the ones who are around us, or even the ones to come. And I want us to just live with that. Just trust that what we have is what we've done is being carried forward. What we've done is being treasured, and it's becoming part of someone else's story. And maybe that's why leaving feels painful. While it is painful as it can be, I think the beautiful flip side, or the perspective that we can have in all that, is that it's not really like we're losing anything. It's simply the fact and the act of faithful stewardship and the faithful time that we've done well in that season, and the lives we've impacted in that season. And if we look at it in that way, in that perspective, if we look at our time ending with that way, trusting that during that time, all that you put in did not go to waste, I promise you, you will have that peace, and you will be able to move forward without guilt and with a lot of more peace and encouragement to yourself as well. So I'd love to genuinely know, have you ever looked back at some of your seasons and felt they were lost, only to realize that its impact was still continuing in ways that you didn't see? I'd really encourage you about that. Nothing that you do is to waste, and I promise you that. Even if some seasons ended painfully, there's definitely an outcome from it that shaped you in a way or affected you in a good way, that you can be grateful for. All right. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope it's been great. Let me know in the comments if there's anything or any of your experiences that you'd love to share. And again, don't forget to subscribe or hit the notification button, or just get in touch with me if you really wanted to share more about this.